Good morning, Zio here. And normally I would probably say shots fired. The console war is going to be heating up with this next console generation. However, this stuff isn't coming from Sony or Microsoft. It's coming from developers. So I'm not quite sure how to take from that. But this generation of consoles, or this upcoming generation of consoles, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, could really heat up depending on how they handle things. So, I guess with all that, let's get into it, shall we? But before we get started, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, share it out all across the interwebs, and of course like it if you like it, dislike it if you don't, leave me a comment if you want to join the conversation down below. And yeah, I think that's about it. So let's take a look at this. We've got people talking about the PS5 as it is the more powerful system, apparently. I mean, spec-wise, just looking at the thing on paper, it is not the more powerful console, but apparently, according to several developers, and you know, a report from Jason Schreier, you know, the guy who left Kotaku or got booted from Kotaku, or wait, was it Kotaku? I can't remember now. Anyway, I was planning on talking about that, and I hadn't gotten around to it yet. But yeah, so that's a thing that's going on. But dollar bet, within a 5-year, or within a year from its launch games, we will fully appreciate the PS5 as one of the most revolutionary, inspired home consoles ever designed, and will feel silly for having spent energy arguing about teraflops over similarly misunderstood specs. And we've got another one. Still tripped about this PS5 SSD specs. Like, people don't even know how big a leap in terms of game design can be made, especially for first party that doesn't have to design the lowest common denominator. By far the biggest leap in my career. Can't wait. Which is true. I mean, these specs for the current systems, or these systems that are coming out, or at least for the PlayStation, because I think that's the only one I've actually looked at. No, I looked at them both, didn't I? Gosh, I can't remember now. On paper, I think the PlayStation looks like it's at lower specs, but at the same time, they're powerful systems. I've said it in a few, videos in the past that it's probably going to give my PC a run for its money. My PC is only 3 years old at this point. I mean, sure, it could use some upgrades, maybe some more RAM, but these next consoles might actually give it a good run for its money. So, this is something to actually look out for, is these new sets of consoles. If you haven't gotten your coffee, go get your coffee. I, on the other hand, apparently today, for whatever reason, have 2 cups worth of coffee now. So, sitting here. Apparently somebody thought I still needed coffee and brought me coffee right before I hit record, and I'm looking at my bigger cup going, I got coffee, but I'll take 2. I'll take 2, definitely. But yeah, so I can see these console wars definitely heating up, and the PC master race, well, I hate to say it, it's still going to be the PC master race, considering what all you can do with a PC versus a console, but I guess time will tell how that actually plays out. But yeah, on paper, the Xbox Series X seems undoubtedly more powerful. It's got a higher clock, custom Zen 2 CPU, and most importantly, it comes with 44% more compute units. Why does that sound so... I know these things. Anyway, once again, my brain has refused to function, and I woke up with a terrible backache this morning. I think I'm getting old. Oh gosh, do I really have to get old, people? Make me not get old. I need the Fountain of Youth, that's it. I gotta go on a quest. Zio's quest to not get old. Anyway, 42 versus 36 compared to the PS5, or the PS5 has 36. Sorry, but yeah, spec wise, the PS5 seems to be a bit weaker than the PS4. It's not weaker than the PS4, than the Xbox Series X. And I'm kind of excited to see where the new console generation really does take us, because with the advancements in technology and what they're going to have to offer does sort of it opens the doorways for a lot more. You can see a lot more VR coming out of this, among other things, because those systems are going to be able to run it a heck of a lot better than, say, the PS4. Sure, it can do it, but it wouldn't be my first choice of things to use for VR. You know what I'm saying? So, I'd rather use my computer for Half-Life Alyx than trying to use my PlayStation, just because it's more powerful than the PlayStation right now. But Schreier commented during a podcast, and we're going to go through this whole thing. So let's go through it. It's a lot to read. But anyway, everybody is now seeing the spec sheet, and they see the PS5 10.2 teraflop and the Xbox Series X 12 teraflops. But meanwhile, the people I've been talking to over the past few months, over the past couple of years, who are actually working on the PS5 have pretty much unanimously all said, this thing is a beast. It is one of those the coolest piece of hardwares that we've ever seen and used before. There are so many things here that are revolutionary. And there's more to it as well. When it comes to, say, a console versus a PC, when things are set a particular way, they're set specifically for the console. You can do things out of them that you normally can't do. And I had an example of this, and now I can't remember what it was, but it was a game that I think ran really well on its console for its generation, but then trying to port it over to the PC had issues with it. And I can't remember exactly what that was now. What was it? Anyway, I'm sorry. If it comes to me, I will randomly blurt it out. Yeah, see, they had issues getting it to properly run on the PC for various reasons, because, well, the way the hardware is set up in a console is a bit different. And when you're familiar with that stuff and it works in a particular way, it's a lot easier to develop something that might be a little bit more revolutionary than it would for the PC, because with PCs you've got different specs, you've got different graphics cards, GPUs, graphics cards. You've got different GPUs, CPUs, RAM space, hard drive space, hard drive speeds, among other things that you've got to worry about. Just a ton of different things that person A may not have that person B does have, which means they can run this at better, or they may not be able to run this at all. Like that clunker way over there that you can't actually see. I'm sorry, I called you a clunker, honey. Anyway, talking to my old PC. Yeah, that thing, I can't remember which game it was I was trying to play, but it was an RTS style game at one point. It just wouldn't run on it. It ran when I upgraded the graphics card, mind you, and actually put a real graphics card in it. But beforehand, it wouldn't run it on. It wouldn't run on my laptop either. If I was to put it on this PC, which doesn't have a disk drive, maybe I should get an external just so I can play some of my old games. It would run fine. It just wouldn't run on that. But anyway, consoles, they're a dedicated thing for a dedicated purpose, right? And they can do other things, of course. They can be multi-boxes where they can do TV, pass through, watch YouTube, and all this other stuff, and Twitch and things like that. But but a PC is not designed usually for a specific thing. Yeah, you can have gaming PCs where it's more powerful to game, but it's still not designed specifically for a game, which is why sometimes consoles can do better than the PC, as much as I hate to admit it. Don't tell anybody I said that. Anyway, the general consensus is these things are both extremely powerful and both very similar in a lot of ways. Both do different things in really cool ways. These are both extremely impressive pieces of technology, but because of the way Sony has actually presented and marketed these things, now the narrative that the Xbox Series X is way more powerful than the PS5. And I think that is such a maybe fatal blow on Sony's part for the console generation. Maybe it's forgotten if the PS5 comes in cheaper or has a killer launch line of apps. I hate calling things apps. They're programs or games, for crying out loud. Anyway, yeah, that's just a little pet peeve of mine, sorry. But right now, it's just such a drop the ball after so many years of smart decisions on Sony's part. And that's another thing to consider too. You know, we haven't heard a whole lot out of Sony at all for the PS5, other than when they did decide to start dumping the specs for in this hour or so long video that, you know, was more for developers than it was for you and me. But you know, it was a very interesting video. Well, for me, it was an interesting video because it explained a lot of things of what the PS5 was capable of. For the normal Joe, it was a boring slog that they had no idea what they were talking about or what was going on. I'm sorry. You know, but you know, for people who are really interested in the specs side of things, it was an interesting thing. But yeah, other than that, Sony really hasn't done a whole lot. They hadn't said anything. I think they were late to the party of even revealing it. I can't remember who actually revealed what first, but then you're going to have the price. We're looking at a $500, at least a $500 price tag for the PS5, and you know, limited quantities, as we talked about earlier this week, you know, could play a huge part, even if the system is more powerful. You know, if they can't get a hold of it and it costs more, you know, that could be a problem. If it doesn't cost more, of course, you know, if it costs about the same, then people might actually wait until they can get themselves, you know, a copy of that system. Maybe not. Me personally, for whatever reason, I've really been craving Halo. I just don't have an Xbox One to play with anybody who is actively playing Halo. Thank you, by the way, Nathan Sifu and the Krillcast, because you guys have been playing Halo recently, and that's the only reason I want to play. I caught a stream of somebody, one of y'all, playing it, and now I really want to play, but I just don't got an Xbox. Anyway. Sorry about that. Let's continue. What I'm hearing from the people who are actually working on these things, working on the material or the metal, is that the Xbox Series is not significantly more powerful than the PS5, despite this teraflop number. Well, its specs are slightly better, and then it has the teraflop number that everybody's making a big deal of. But you know, it really doesn't matter so much. Just saying. Sure, it means it can process more at once, but it's not like, gosh, what is the word? Gigantic or something. It's not like a huge thing that's going to make a bit of difference. It's like, let's see, what's the thing I can compare it to? Maybe RAM? I mean, gosh, I can't remember. Anyway, we're not going to worry about it then. But, yeah, it's not like it's a big number. It really is. It's a lot better, but in the grand scheme of things, it really depends on how the hardware and the software are woven together to work at max capacity with the least amount of stress. I guess it's the best way to put it. Anyway, Sony's dropped the ball, and they're going to be like weeks and weeks, if not months and months, especially with the COOF. Disrupting everything, of people just talking about how the Xbox Series X is the most powerful console and it's beating the PS5 in every single way. Meanwhile, I'm getting texts and DMs even today as this was going on from developers being like, this is such a shame that the PS5 is so superior in all the other ways that they're not actually able to message right now or can't talk about it right now. I've heard from at least 3 different people in the past couple of hours that the Sony talk being like the PS5 is actually like the more powerful piece of hardware in a lot of different ways, despite what you're seeing in these paper specs sheets. And yet again, plenty of room to talk about this for all those companies to keep messaging me showing games, but I don't think Sony has really dropped the ball so far from what I've seen. Or I do think that Sony has really dropped the ball from our boy Jason Schreier. Honestly, I don't really care what he has to say for the most part. Just honesty. No offense, but that entire paragraph feels like it's one of those, I want to take what you just said, crumple it up, and throw it into the trash can of that never happened. Just say that's how it reads. I'm sorry. Whether or not the PlayStation 5 is more superior, that's just something we're going to have to find out as time goes on. I mean, spec-wise, it looks less powerful. The Xbox does have an edge onto the PlayStation, but depending on how they marry the hardware and the software together and make things work, it could do a lot better than the Xbox. And we're talking about Sony and Microsoft, which are two companies who know exactly what they're doing when it comes to technology like this. So I'm not expecting somebody to F up to the point that, it's a major thing that is noticeable, if anything. But time will tell. So let me know down in the comments below what you think. PS5 more superior than the Xbox, or is the Xbox Series X going to come out on top? Here's the question. What are your predictions for the console wars this generation? PlayStation versus Xbox, or will the PC come in and nuke everything from orbit? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will talk to you later. See ya!
Hey, thanks for stopping by. If you like what you saw, hit that like button. Share it out to all the far reaches of the interwebs. And of course, if you want more, you can always subscribe to the channel, and I'm sure you can find something there that you might quite enjoy watching. So with all that, I will see you in the next one. Oh, and, Will, this is for you.